I still remember the day they found Ngozi's body, eyes wide open, mouth stuffed with red soil, and her long braided hair twisted around her own neck like a noose. She died in her dream house, the one she had killed to get. I didn't want to tell this story, but it has haunted me for too long. Maybe if I write it down, the whispers will stop. Maybe if people know the truth, someone else won't make the same mistake Ngozi did. My name is Chike. I grew up in a small town in eastern Nigeria, but I moved to Enugu City when I was 22. That was where I met Ngozi. She was one of those girls that made people turn and look. Light-skinned, tall, always dressed like someone who knew money. I met her when I started work at a small supermarket near Independence Layout. She used to come in with her small purse and big attitude, always buying imported wine and designer body lotion. Never anything local. She looked like she had it all, but I knew the truth. Ngozi was broke. She rented a room in a Face Me I Face You and borrowed clothes from her richer friends. She hated being poor more than anything. One day, I overheard her talking to her friend Ada outside the supermarket. Ada asked her how long she was going to keep pretending. Ngozi laughed and said, "Even if I have to sell my soul, I must live this broke life. I must live like a queen." Back then, it just sounded like talk. I didn't know she meant it. Things started to change when Ngozi met Chief Dyke. He was a man in his late 50s, bald, dark-skinned, with a thick Igbo accent and a belly that looked like it held secrets. Everyone said he was rich from oil and land, but nobody really knew what he did. One day, he pulled up in a black Prado Jeep while Ngozi was waiting for a Kiki. By the next week, she was riding in that Jeep too. She stopped coming to our supermarket. I saw her again 2 months later. She was glowing, literally. Skin shining, hair styled, gold necklace that spelled her name. But her eyes looked strange. Distant, like someone who was smiling in front of you but somewhere far behind her own face. I greeted her. She looked at me like she couldn't remember my name. They said Chief got her an apartment in a gated estate and opened a boutique in her name. She became what she always wanted, an Enugu big girl. Champagne, Instagram, Dubai, the whole thing. Then came the rumors. Someone who worked in the estate said they saw Ngozi in the middle of the night, walking around her compound barefoot, whispering to herself. A neighbor said she had a big mirror in her living room where she would sit and talk to someone who wasn't there. One housekeeper quit after saying he saw her feeding raw meat to a clay pot. Still, people envied her. Me? I stayed away. But I still watched, from a distance. Then came the night of the fire. Ngozi's boutique caught fire at midnight. The place burned down completely, but not a single shop beside it was touched. Fire service said the fire came from inside the walls. They found feathers, bones, and black candles in the rubble. People said she had joined the people that walk at night. That was when things started falling apart. Chief Dyke cut her off. Said she had brought bad luck into his house. Ngozi went mad. She started coming to our supermarket again, but this time barefoot, hair messy, talking to herself. She told anyone who would listen that they were punishing her. She said she didn't keep her part of the deal. I was on duty one evening when she walked in holding a goat's head. Real goat's head. Blood still dripping. She came to the counter, looked me in the eye, and said, "Chike, don't chase money the wrong way. They don't want the money. They want me. She dropped the head on the counter and walked out. They arrested her later that night, but Chief paid her way out. After that, she disappeared for a while. People said she traveled to her village to get cleansed. But it didn't work. A month later, I saw her again. She had lost weight. Dark patches under her eyes. Her fingers were bandaged. She said they came to her every night to collect. She said her hands weren't enough, that they wanted her whole body now. She begged the pastor to help her, but the pastor ran out of his own church shouting abomination after one prayer session. One woman said Ngozi's shadow moved on its own. Then came the final night. A neighbor called police when they heard her screaming. They broke into the house and found her dead. Eyes wide, mouth stuffed with soil, hair wrapped tight around her throat like someone, or something, used it to choke her. But no one else was there. Doors locked. Windows sealed. I saw her body before they took it away. The way her face was twisted, it didn't look like she died in pain. It looked like she died seeing something so horrible, it froze her soul. They buried her in her village. Quiet funeral. No one came except her mother and